Right? This is our KBB timeline. Timeline meaning what do we do from now until the project is approved. That's the timeline. When did we start? All right, January 2024. We map out the skills and writing document standard curriculum dan pentaksiran. We did all the mapping, for the whole month. Because we already have this book, the module, and all the skills are listed. Yeah? So we map out the skills. Okay, year one, these are the skills. Lower. Jangan cakap tentang language art ni lah. Contoh, language art only the time. Tahun 3 boleh talk about language art, tak boleh talk. Darjah 1 talk about language art. That's one of the skill. That's the highest skill. Now we talk about critical thinking skills. Mana boleh cakap tahun 1 talk about critical thinking skills. That will be tahun 3. Because these are higher order thinking skills. HOTS, right? Higher order thinking skills. So they go into the most senior concept. Yeah? Right. So this is the kind of mapping. This is what I mean was a mapping. Some skills year 1. The simple skills. Certain skills year 2. The year 3 more complex skills. In what language? Writing, listening. What else? Writing, listening, talking, and what the other one? Reading. These are basic skills. These are basic skills. The whole thing is but the level of difficulty has to be distributed from the lowest to the highest. As we go higher, we talk about we teach the more difficult skills, language skills, right? That's what we mean by mapping. Writing and completion of RPT, rancangan pelajaran tahunan ya, tahunan for year 1 to 3, February and June. Right, pelajaran tahunan ya. This year, and then just now I was talking about proofreading. So, for document select kurikulum dan pentaksiran dan rancangan pelajaran harian, not PT ya, RPS, RPS, rancangan pelajaran harian, not RPT, sorry, harian. The daily one. Yeah. So they are doing that now. Proofreading. Number 4, developing teaching materials, including workbooks, short stories, teaching modules, teaching aids. August onwards. We don't know when we can complete. That's why it's onwards. Bila siap kita tidak tahu, but onwards. Translating the SKP, LPD, and LPH. August until December. We hope to finish it by the end of this year to do translation for Taiwan. The whole thing, all the documents is translated into from Bahasa Melayu, now is Bahasa Melayu, into respective languages. Number 6, contacting schools, dialogue with parents, contacting CPDs, education department for the pilot project. We have to do a pilot project before that, we need to contact the school, the CPD, education department, and so on and so forth. That will be some NOC, some level 2. Teacher training for piloting in January to February. Teacher training for piloting. So identify the teachers. Train them, right? Before the piloting. And piloting will be in March to May 2025. By June, July, we send out proposal to Kementerian Perjalanan. We finish the piloting. So we send out proposal to them. And by 2026, we hope to get it implemented. Subject to the approval. Alright, this is the one. Preparing studying proposal paper. June to July. Yeah. Preparing and sending proposal paper every year. Number 10, preparation of documents for implementation. Selecting schools for implementation. We have not yet decided which schools to implement this. We will select the schools in August to December. And training teachers for teaching KBB will be January. And finally, to implement in February onwards. Okay? To implement in February. So this is our plan. Finish. Oh, okay. Workshop. What have we done this year? Oh, we had workshops here. To have the knowledge in the thing that we are doing. So we had two workshops. What happened down there? Number 1, we had photography workshop by Dr. Rahim of the Dimas on the 2nd of May this year. The Spanish system. So we have had that workshop already. Number two, translation workshop by Madam Desi Librito from Siam National, that's just last month. Yeah. So this is the workshop we have had. To do translation. What is translation? What is like translation? Be as natural as possible in the pattern. Be your language. Whatever language you be as natural as possible. Make it sound very natural. Let it sound very local to the kids that are using the language. That's the key. Very natural, very peaceful. And I think that's the end. And I will go to my next slide on the other project that we did in January 2018. So this is a brief report on the pilot project that we've done for year one. That was in January 2018. Year one curriculum was piloted with formal permission from the Ministry of Education through the Education Department, dated 19 January. There was permission from the Kementerian. Ada polis piloting. Kedaran daripada Kementerian. This piloting was specifically for year one, not for year two. Year one done those. What were the objective of the pilot project? To obtain feedback from parents, regarding Bahasa. The parents must agree. The parents must say what are their concerns, what are the possible challenges. Why is teaching Bidayuh something good for them, advantage for them? The parents must tell us this. From the feedback in the piloting, the parents need to tell us this information. So we have to get questionnaire for the parents, right? There will be results from that. To obtain feedback from teachers, to obtain feedback from teachers. How do they think about it? To assess the level of preparedness of teachers involved in teaching and learning. How prepared were the teachers to teach the curriculum? Are they prepared in terms of their own knowledge, their own skills? Are they prepared? The piloting was able to assess them, the preparedness of teachers. To assess, to obtain feedback from teachers regarding the suitability and relevance of teaching and learning materials. Assessment 2, because we have assessment 2 as well. At the very end of the piloting, there was an assessment done. Assessment, for the students. There was a tool to do this, right? So the feedback from teachers on relevance of teaching and learning materials, assessment tools, and the school infrastructure. Are the school prepared in terms of infrastructure to conduct the Bidayuh curriculum? These were the schools involved. 2 in Syrian, 2 in Delta, and 2 in Laut, consisting of 130 students. And this was done for 12 weeks. It involved 130 students and teachers. Right. Who were the teachers? These are the names of the teachers for each school. Sorry. How the survey was conducted? It was conducted through a quantitative and qualitative methodology using a survey design, which is like Google research. It was done during the final week of the project. The questionnaire covered aspects such as the respondent perception and attitude regarding the teaching of BB, Bahasa Bidayuh, as an additional subject, their fluency and the pride for the language, and their comments and suggestions regarding the teaching of Bahasa Bidayuh. The questionnaires used the 5-point Likert scale, and 120 out of 137 questionnaires were returned, but data, only 88.14% of the data for the analysis. What were the findings? The findings, the parent perception and attitude. The parents were very positive to Bahasa Bidayuh. The overall mean was 3.77 out of 5 on the Likert scale. there was a very high perception towards Bahasa Bidayuh, i.e. high perception for 9 out of the 13 items statement in their perception and attitude. The parents wanted the children to learn their own language, their mother tongue. I mean, of people before. The parents wanted the children to learn their mother tongue. The parents believed that their children were interested in the Bahasa Bidayuh classes. Mean people, the children were interested. And the parents' attitude to Bahasa Bidayuh was very positive, i.e. they were willing to give full support. Very positive, willing to give full support in whatever form towards the program. Parents are very willing, that's what the survey says. The parents presented views and opinions regarding Bahasa Bidayuh. Most parents feel that Bahasa Bidayuh is useful. It's close to 4 out of 5, The ability to speak Bidayuh is an advantage to the children. That's the parent perception. It's an advantage. The ability to speak Bidayuh is part of their identity. That's very important. Bidayuh is part of their identity. Yeah? Consider Bahasa Malaysia and English to be more important as a medium of instruction. They still consider Bahasa Malaysia and English to be more important. That's obvious, because these are the national languages, or the national language. Their general perception towards Bahasa Bidayuh was very high. The overall parents' attitude towards Bahasa Bidayuh was very high. Comments from parents: overall, parents were very positive about Bahasa Bidayuh. 83% felt that Bahasa Bidayuh is good and useful. Why? Because it helped the children to have better and in-depth knowledge of the language. Better and in-depth knowledge of the language. That's obvious. It helps them to remember the language and culture. It's important for the preservation of their identity. The comment. What are the proposals from parents? Right? So the politic also, included proposals from parents to prepare and make available. This is what the parents said. More reference books, materials, and varieties of teaching and learning materials to ensure that they are qualified and competent teachers to teach Bahasa Bidayuh. To provide additional training, include teaching and learning of history and culture in Bahasa Bidayuh. And it's already included, Culture is already included in the curriculum of Bahasa Bidayuh. History, not very, but culture, yes, have additional activities such as visits and historical sites. Feedback from teachers. Feedback from teachers was obtained using a document. There's a proper document adapted from Form 12018, which was used by the Education Ministry for the ballot study of KSSR document of Education Standard Advice 2017 for Year 4 and KSSM 4.1. So a proper document was used for feedback from teachers. This involved 8 teachers, 5 men and 3 female, 5 teachers, and this is the qualification of teachers. 5 out of 8 teachers had teaching certificate, 1 had a diploma, and 2 had bachelor's degrees. So this one I don't like to talk about it. This one talks about document standard curriculum and Paksanan. I think you will be able to guess what it contains. You will be able to guess and you will know. So no need for me to talk about it. Performance standards. Teachers agree that grammar should be included in the curriculum standard document. Teachers agree that grammar should be included in the curriculum standard. Students in St. Paul, where you want to start? What did they say? The students could use suitable adjectives and storytelling. The students in Bunda could use suitable adjectives in storytelling. They could tell stories and they could use adjectives when they talk stories. That means their knowledge of language. Mixed languages were used in Josak and myself, mixed languages. Why mixed languages? Why was it? They use Bahasa Bidayuh and Bahasa Malaysia. Why? Because some students stop. They walk home because the parents are working somewhere. And Bahasa Bidayuh is not something so it's a mixed language. Only 2 out of 8 schools gave feedback on the improvement of performance standards. 2 out of 8 schools gave feedback on improvement in the performance standard. Oh yeah, we have this form on improvement in performance standard. But only two of the schools get prepared. In one school, only a minority of students achieve that 3, which is subject to 3, and 4 would speak well. Only a minority of them achieve that, meaning that they have a long way to go. Level of teacher preparedness, just now we were talking about it. Teacher observation was to assess how frequent the teachers were and how the curriculum content was translated in teaching and learning. This was using instrument 2/2018. Each teacher was observed 2 times. Right. I observed 2 schools, and we observed each teacher 2 times during the 3-month period. We use instrument 2.2008. Teacher preparedness. All teachers were able to carry out, this is the finding, all teachers were able to carry out their responsibilities. How? By preparing suitable lesson plans that fulfill the learning standards. Suitable lesson plans that fulfill the learning standards, including using songs, poems, and puzzles. By preparing activities, including improvised ones, that were consistent with the learning standards that were planned. Activities that were consistent with the learning standards. 3. Preparing teaching aids, including culture-related objects. Culture-related objects. Like you know what it is, Posina? The Warang Tenai, Dua is to hold this kotak di basket, dua, kotak basket. This is part of the culture. These are the teaching aids. Big books, they use all these big books, workbooks, pictures, and workouts. One of the things that was assessed during the piloting was how did the teachers translate the curriculum content into teaching and learning? How did the teachers translate the curriculum content into teaching and learning? 11 aspects were taken into account. 11 aspects, including the suitability of content, the achievement of standards of learning, achievement of objectives, student-centered teaching, higher order thinking skills, values across the curriculum, the use of teaching aids, degree of involvement of students. The finding? Overall, the teachers were able to carry out the above satisfactorily. They were able to carry out the 11 standards aspects satisfactorily. Not very good, but satisfactory. The strengths, based on the finding. The students, most students could read, write, and speak in their respective languages, though only at a satisfactory level. The students were very active and cooperative. Generally, the teachers demonstrated interest and dedication in Student-centered teaching approaches and the use of teaching aids had enhanced the effectiveness of teaching and learning. The weaknesses, what were the weaknesses of the program? Teaching material, some words used in the big books are misleading. So the big books are not perfect, they are subject to improvement. Some of the words are misleading. We have big books, but they are not perfect yet. The teaching space, in some schools, more suitable places could have been provided by the Bahasa developers. Why do I say that? Because we discovered in one school they were using the science lab, and the students were sitting at a very small space, one-third of the room in the lab all the time. One-third of the room was used to read, and the room was the computer room, not a proper classroom. That's why I made a statement here. Not a proper classroom, it was in the computer room, and only one-third of the room was used. So it's congested lah. Macam sabit lah. That's why I made a comment. They could have provided suitable places. Higher order thinking schools, this was not well interpreted in some classes. In some classes, instruction and system conditions were not satisfactory. Meaning they need to be improved. Overly active class, this was centered with the novelty of learning environment. All this while they've been learning it. Suddenly you teach your language, it's very novel to them. Very novel, very new. So we made them overly active. Relevance and suitability of materials. This was to assess the standard, the teacher's understanding of curriculum standards, understanding of content of the curriculum, translation of the curriculum into teaching and learning, the suitability of assessment, and the infrastructure readiness. The findings show that there was high degree of understanding of the curriculum content. high degree of understanding of curriculum contents that comprise KSS, framework, teaching strategy, elements of curriculum, and so on. The curriculum content was suitable in terms of language use, terminologies, content standards, standards of learning, sequence of contents, depth and breadth of the subject, statement of odds, and performance standards of each objective. The translation of the curriculum content into teaching learning was high. Translation of curriculum content into teaching learning was high. The suitability of assessment was high. The suitability of assessment. The assessment tool used was very suitable. The structure was considered satisfactory. Student assessment, it was conducted after the 12th week of the project. After the 12th week. It was conducted in 3 variations of Bidayuh language, consisting of 1 written assessment, vocabulary, and 1 oral assessment consisting of speaking and communication. What was the assessment result? Student assessment result. Part A, what the body, house, family members, and so on. 80% of students obtained full mark. Only 80%. 83% were able to use the correct words to identify family members. Heads or TS, 62% obtained full marks. Part B, the oral test, 59.2% obtained about 5 marks out of 10, and 48.85% obtained 5 marks and below. Oral test, meaning slightly more than half were considered to be able to speak. 40% could not speak so because of mixed language, using mixed language. What did the teachers comment on the curriculum and about the situation? The teachers felt that the material was insufficient. What we had read like textbook and references exercises, spelling and terminologies needed to be improved. What are we doing now actually? We actually are still trying to develop our learning system for information. We have 4 main languages in Bidayuh, and each main language is still trying to develop the spelling system, trying to get a consensus on proper pronunciation and therefore the right spelling. Proper pronunciation and therefore the right spelling system. That's why we had this workshop on orthography. That's why we had this workshop. Yeah? But after the workshop, we had additional knowledge on spelling, but it did not fulfill 100% of our requirement. Meaning we still have to find, maybe some other expert opinions to develop our space. Some other expert opinions. The piloting period was too short. Briefing and training was too short. Only 2 days. Now we train for maybe 2 weeks. The coming one for teachers, 2 weeks. The last one was only 2 days. Student focus attention was affected by time allocated for the teaching. What time was allocated? Outside the common hours because it's not in the curriculum yet. So it was outside. It was in the afternoons. 1.5 hours. Teacher suggestions: provide more relevant material, including audio, provide more activity books, recruit qualified and capable teachers. Time for teacher training should be increased to the following. That's what the teachers feel. Bahasa Bidayuh class should be conducted in boarding schools. Why boarding schools? When we had our balloting last time, the students were in day school. They had to come to school after the school was over. So we had to provide transport. Transport means paying the transportation, the drivers. Right? Yeah, we have to provide lunch. Yeah? If we have boarding school, there will be, having food and boarding house and so on. That will reduce expenses. So it should be conducted at the boarding school to reduce expenses and transport costs. Conclusion: the funding of the pilot project showed that the parents and the teachers gave full support for the teaching of Bahasa Bidayuh as an additional subject, mata pelajaran tambahan ataupun elective, using Bahasa Bidayuh. That's the conclusion. The parents and the teachers. So that's why we're doing it. So that's all for me. Thank you very much. Sorry for the long briefing.
Thank you from Rijeng. one bottle of water. No, tuak. Okay.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just a bit of information. Now, I'm very sure after this, members, especially from Sabah, would like to know what we are doing right now, especially what we are doing in workshops. Right? So, for that session, Dr. Torrance will answer your question. What is happening right now, especially since January, in our workshops, or book reading, or translation process. So, Dr. Torrance will provide information.
Okay, I got a message from Dr. Jahet that Philip will be going earlier, so we have to now we break for a while. We have something refreshment there together, and then come back here again. Then we will continue on with the forum.
While that was still around, maybe we give the honor to that people. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So prior to this one. So but the main thing here is our objective is like we're like going back. What I mean by going back is Bahasa dan Dalam itu sudah di school for over 20 years, yeah. And I think there is we can hear from the crowd that we are getting feedback that it's not well, it is good, but there are more and more of these like Sora, you got about 5 different dialects, but Sapphire like 40 over the main one. They're not happy. With that. I think you all can learn from that also. You can have a good start lah. That eventually when you implement this Bidayuh, you take it into consideration that what dialect are you going to use? Which one? You know, 5. But we have about 4. So because of that, I think one of them is UMS made a research and study about it, the crowd. So that's why we had this got attention of that to Imam Benedict, LP, and we talked about it, and we agreed to look into it, and then we wrote a letter to the Minister of Education. Dari situlah kita start ini that we want the dialect of the district to be taught in school. Yeah, or the dialect of the school, majority of the school. Banyak dialect, kata Zan, Tanah, Burut, and then we have a lot of people. We started with this more because they are more prepared. The material, resources, and so on. I think they can review also on this. But I'm very happy to see because macam Rijeng briefing sama kementerian juga kan, jadi the progress of what they're doing now. So also I think it's a good thing that's happening lah. We come together. I think the ministry also is easier that we can see in seluruh bahasa etnik di Malaysia lah. Satu lagi yang saya ingin yang saya dah ucapkan juga semalam is our funding in Siam. Now bahasa etnik sana only Dingan, Semai and pada satu suri. But now this year we start a major sana, which is useful for us for the secondary schools. So this kalau next time bahasa Bidayuh comes into the formal education, then you can have a degree in ethic, mentoring in bahasa Bidayuh sekarang. So these are things we are like moving forward. Asal dan Yusuf and also they had the ethic formal that taught in the school now. Bahasa Bidayuh can just. But at the same time, when you are doing this one, the pilot, you can learn a lot from them. Because banyak tadi yang sudah dirembuat. So boleh juga copy and paste kan? I'm just saying, joking. But banyak listener yang we can probably get from you, Rijeng and DBNA. So this is maybe at the end of the day, there is solidarity, and I'm sure the government will see the beauty of this. Macam Rijeng was talking about, almost 100% Bidayuh. We should have that. I think for me, we must make everybody happy, and I think giving this to each community will make people happy about our presence or our study Malaysia. Kita semua happy. So kalau bangsa, what else can make us? I always talk about language being absolute or mutlak. Identity. That's the main thing as a bangsa, sebagai seorang satu bangsa kan. Language is the main thing lah, the core of our existence actually kan. Yang lain-lain itu secondary to me. So sekali lagi thank you very much. I'm sure it's not the last time we continue to do this together. And I'm sure kementerian pun happy juga sama-sama kita buat so that Sandra pun tidak payah briefing banyak kali. We can do it together. Yeah. So I saw that I know you already briefed them last year. You briefed our group also this year. So we can do it maybe secara sinergi lah. We can do it secara sinergi. I believe this is something that and Yayasan Bank Rakyat will always be there to, as long as I'm the chairman, I can see that this is one of those things that the CSR of Yayasan Bank Rakyat is tepat pada sasaran, itu sudah target. Kalau kita memberi saja macam bantuan keuangan to let's say the video seperti itu, okay juga. Tetapi ini permanent, and I think it is also what we want in the government, the present government, kerajaan, dan it's something I can see that eventually people are happy. I think at the end of the day, a few years ago there was a study kita sedarakan apa yang buat kita happy, apa kita buat happy untuk negara ini, dan I think this language being taught in apa ini dalam kita punya kita punya tribes, kita punya bangsa sendiri makes us happy. To me lah, it is one of those. Apart from a few other things like maybe religion, education, economic, but to me language is the main. So sekali lagi thank you very much, and I hope we can have more session like this. As I said, yes, I'm Megare. As I also committed last night to have you all give me the program, and we will fund. Yeah, last night saya umumkan 30,000 lah for you was the program. A few other things lah yang akan datang. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dato'. I received a text from Dato' Apar early this morning. He said, please convey to Dato' that he has given all willing to research about So we have a photo taking session with Dato' first. Kita ambil gambar.
And also kepada wanita, Cikgu Josak, Cikgu
Adian, ya.
Kita ada juga wakil-wakil daripada JPN Sarawak, JPN Sabah, kita punya kita punya head of the contingent ni, tanpa Dr Jahet, we won't be here because the funding she was the one who did it. Dan kita ada juga ketua-ketua bahasa daripada Kurikulum, Kadazan dan juga Tanah ya. Dan kita ada juga wakil daripada JPN Sabah, ya, UMS, daripada Unimas, ya, Mr. Florence, dan saya juga ada di sini Wan Sandra, ketua unit. Okay, I have to congratulate yeah, DBNA for the effort that you have done. You know, you can see your passion. Yeah, I think you are streets ahead when it comes to community-based learning. Yeah, because you have done a lot of training, material, pemetaan curriculum dan sebagainya. Yeah. Okay, dia bila kita cakap pasal dasar kan, it's a complex issue right now. When you get the approval from JPN Sarawak, it's only for the pilot, correct? When you want a dasar to be approved, it has to be tabled at the proper syarat KPN yang actually endorse all the dasar, yeah, proper syarat. Okay. Now, sorry to the digression here, yeah. But I have to set how things should be done so that it will not be a futile effort on your part. So, sepanjang saya berada di BBA, I have not heard that projek rintis Bahasa Bidayuh telah dibentangkan di mesyuarat tertinggi KPM. Dan saya pun cakap, anything to do with curriculum mesti dibentangkan di Jawatan Kuasa Kurikulum Kebangsaan CCCC Central Curriculum Committee. Tadi pun Cikgu Rijeng sebut, we are still in the process of codifying, standardizing the spelling. So, dalam bahasa ini, there's a long process. Kalau bahasa Inggeris pun daripada Old English nak go to Middle English to the current English now, berturun-turun lamanya, the codification and the standardization. So you need to get all these things ready. Dari segi bahasanya, tata bahasanya, spellingnya, so on and so forth. Dia banyak nanti ni sebab bila kita bentangkan syarat pengurusan dan profesional ni, especially di Jawatan Bahasa Kebangsaan, semua dean daripada fakulti pendidikan di industri IPTA akan dipanggil. So dia proses dia panjang. So that's why saya rasa memanglah I am so touched, you know, the kind of passion that you have. So itulah dia. Ada JPN nak tambah ke?
Just tak tahu implikasi, the implications lah. Let's say for example now, the pilot is based. Okay, the pilot now is based on the current curriculum.
Yeah.
And so, if approval is gotten, does it mean that it will just have to be reorganized into the new framework? Is that the implication?
That's another implication because the results, the findings that you are giving us for the pilot project is only for curriculum that exists in the curriculum, not the new curriculum. So, in terms of validity, how valid is the pilot project, the findings, that is another implications lah. I nampak lah, Cikgu Rijeng memang dia sangat passionate tadi. I pun rasa, okay, Bidayuh kan, tapi hari tu I dengar kadasan. I nampak your passion, tapi I always tell them, rational must precedes your emotionality, whatever passion that you have. Kita kena berpijak di bumi nyata.
That's a very good question and you raised. So, memang that's a real question. But so, may I ask, can we have a look at the framework or at least
The framework is in the internet. Yeah, dekat YouTube.
It is different than what we have.
And also the teaching strategies might be different as well.
Cikgu Diga, Siren, so SK Apar. Unity, antara dia sama-sama belajar, dua nak apa. Ni tajuk dia berkaitan dua Dingan